Hi, Mani. Now we start study the 10 principle of economics. First is people face trade-offs. The cost of something is what you give up. Rational people think at the market. Fourth is people respond to incentive. Fifth is trade can make everyone better off. Markets are the usually good way to organize economic action. Governments can sometimes improve market outcome. And how a country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. Prices rise when the government prints too much money. Society faces a short-run trade-off between inflation and employment. These 10 principles are categorized under three main headings. First is how people make decisions, which is this category is depends on the individual decision making, right? Um, uh, how people make decisions has four principles, contain four principles. One is people face trade-off. Second is the cost of something is what you give up. Rational people think at the margin, and people respond to incentive. We will discuss each of the headings separately. First, people faces trade-off. I hope you know the definition of trade-off. The trade-off means if you want something, you have to give something. There is no free lunch in society, right? Like a student who has to decide to spend her time for doing studies is trading off his time with watching TV, work, bike riding, etc. Trade-off is a situation when than getting some aspect of thing by losing other aspect of thing. When people are grouped in a society, they face also trade-off. Like society needs to define which good they have to produce, like guns or butter. Societies need to spend on defense, national defense, or depend or spend on consumer goods, right? If we talk about trade-off, society faces trade-off between equity and efficiency. Efficiency means that society is getting the maximum benefit from its scarce resources, whereas equity means that those who are benefit are distributed fairly among society members. Here you can see a picture which has two dimensions. In one picture, you can see that everyone got provided the same length size of the stool, irrespective their needs. But in the second picture, you can see that the stool or the provided according to their requirement and their needs. So in second picture, you can see the sense of justice and fairness. So sometimes government needs to trade off between efficiency and equity, right? While designing government policy, often these two poles conflict. Like income statement, some has been taxed with a higher rate, and some taxed with a lower rate. Like the next concept we will discuss is the concept of opportunity cost, where you can see that due to trade-off, you have to forgone something. You have to forgone something. Whatever you forgone or leave, that is the opportunity cost of getting something that you are consuming, right? Because people face trade-off making decisions require comparing the cost and benefit or alternative course of action. In many cases, however, the cost of some action is not as obvious as it might first appear, right? Let's understand this concept with this video.
The basic economic problem is the issue of scarcity. Because resources are scarce but wants are unlimited, people must make choices. This lesson showcases the most important concept in macroeconomics, which is the concept of opportunity cost. Very simply, everyone has the same amount of hours in a day, but we all make different decisions about what we do, what we choose to buy, and how we spend our time. What determines these choices? Opportunity cost does. Every time you make a choice, there's a certain value you place on that choice. You might not know it or think about it, but every choice has a value to you. And when you choose one thing over another, you're saying to yourself, I value this more than another choice I had. Now, the opportunity cost of a choice is what you gave up to get it. If you have two choices, either an apple or an orange, and you choose the apple, then your opportunity cost is the orange you could have chosen but didn't. You gave up the opportunity to take the orange in order to choose the apple. In this way, opportunity cost is the value of the opportunity lost. Value has two parts to it. It has benefits as well as costs. If you choose an apple over an orange, maybe the apple costs less, but maybe you enjoy it more. So looking at choice in terms of benefits and costs helps you make better economic decisions. To make a good economic decision, we want to choose the option with the greatest benefit to us, but the lowest cost. For example, if we graduate from college and suddenly we find ourselves in the job market, there are choices to be made. And let's say that two jobs become available to us. We can either work for company A or company B. Now, the job with company A promises to pay us $20 an hour, while company B offers to pay us only $10. Based on this information alone, of course, most people would choose company A. Why? Because they're paying a higher salary. But when you look at this kind of a choice in only dollar terms, then you're only seeing it from the perspective of the benefits. Now, let's take that same example, but now we discover that the job for company A requires a fancy dress suit that'll cost you $1,500. You realize that the job with the higher salary may not be worth it to you. Now you're starting to think economically. You're thinking economically when you look at the value of a choice through the eyes of the benefits and the costs. Whatever we choose, the opportunity cost is the value of the choice we could have had. The opportunity cost of working for company A is the value of what we gave